what they redacted, which were the allegations about the tapes. Consider the context. I'm not going to go back through what I just said, but the American people are looking at all of this, and they just want an answer. I agree with you. We don't need a conspiracy. Let's end the conspiracy. But for the life of me, I can't understand why our Attorney General and our FBI Director can't come in front of the Judiciary Committee, in front of God and country, and answer Chuck and Lindsay's question.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Capitol Insights. Today we're diving into Senator John Kennedy's remarks on the Senate Judiciary Committee about the FBI, the Department of Justice, and bribery allegations tied to President Biden. Senator Kennedy brought up some serious questions about trust, transparency, and the role of law enforcement in our political landscape. I'll break down the key points he made, covering everything from skepticism toward the system to unanswered questions about these allegations. If you're into deep dives on politics, justice, and government, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our updates. All right, let's jump right into it. Kennedy kicked off by addressing a growing concern in the country, the American public's skepticism towards government institutions. Right now, people aren't sure they can trust the FBI and the Department of Justice. And honestly, in this climate, it's understandable. Kennedy said this doubt is based on what people have seen over the past few years, with allegations that certain officials might be letting politics shape their actions. He emphasized that when the public loses trust in its institutions, democracy takes a hit. Next, Kennedy made it clear that he still respects the FBI and considers it one of the world's greatest law enforcement agencies. He believes that most agents are doing their jobs honestly and without bias. But he also pointed out that there have been a few instances, especially involving past FBI leadership, that raise red flags. For example, former FBI Director James Comey's controversial investigations into both Trump and Clinton back in 2016, actions that definitely fueled this current skepticism. At this point, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Capitol Insights for more content like this. Kennedy moved into an important idea, that in government, it's not just what's true that matters, it's what people think is true. He argued that even if the FBI and DOJ are doing their jobs right, any actions that seem political can harm their credibility. For example, if the public perceives the FBI as biased, even good investigations can be met with distrust. Kennedy's point here is that public perception shapes reality in politics, especially when it comes to law enforcement's neutrality. Now let's talk about the timeline of these specific bribery allegations. According to Chairman Dick Durbin, this document, known as an FD 1023, allegedly contains claims of a $5 million bribe to President Biden. Interestingly, the FBI received this document back during Trump's administration, and former Attorney General Bill Barr knew about it. So why didn't this information come out sooner? Durbin pointed out that if there were really something big here, someone in Trump's administration likely would have made it public. This delay raises the question, is there really substance behind this allegation? One of the biggest issues Senator Kennedy raised was about transparency. Senator Grassley tried to get answers from the FBI about the FD 1023 document, but the FBI initially denied it even existed. Then they acknowledged it but refused to share it fully, finally agreeing to show a redacted version.
He called a second press conference. It might have cost Secretary Clinton the election. Now, the American people have seen all this. And in many cases in government and democracy, it's not the substance, it's the perception. And I don't know in this instance, now that the question has been raised, why FBI Director Wray and our Attorney General can't answer Senator Graham's and Senator Grassley's question and put this to rest.
Senator, I'm just thinking about the timeline. This form, FD 1023, one specific one we're talking about here, came up during the Trump administration. the FBI received this information during the Trump administration. And for whatever it was worth, it was communicated to President Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr, as well as the FBI. They were in on the conversation as well. Think about the timeline of when it occurred. What was happening in America during that timeline? We were just about to vote on the re-election of President Trump and whether the American people would have him for another term. And now his Attorney General has this information, which some have alleged shows a $5 million bribe to the President of the United States, Joe Biden. Attorney General Barr has this information before the election, and we didn't hear about it. What does that tell you? Was it a cover-up by Barr? For what purpose? This has now become a sinister conspiracy, but I think the timeline argues that it isn't, that there was disclosure and obviously lack of credibility in this FD 1023. Meanwhile, David Weiss is still hot on the case years ago in Delaware as the U.S. Attorney of Hunter Biden. He supposedly, from what I'm told here, was given the same information. Nothing happened. Maybe that means it's not credible. Maybe that means that these reasonable Republican leaders under President Trump decided it was not credible to pursue it. But now it's back again, coincidentally with a week when the former president's appearing before a judge in Florida. It just happens to surface again. I think I'd like to have the question answered that Senator Graham asked, but I think the circumstances suggest that if there was a smoking gun here, some members of the Trump administration would have brought it forward long before now.
Mr. Chairman, there's a lot of wisdom in your words. But once again, you have to consider this in context. You correctly described a 1023. When Senator Grassley first raised this issue, after the whistleblower came to him, the FBI wouldn't even acknowledge there was a 1023. Then the story changed. There was a 1023, but you can't see it. Yeah. Then the story changed. Okay, you can see the 1023, but we're going to heavily redact it. I suppose they didn't know Senator Grassley had seen the original document, but he knew what they redacted, which were the allegations about the tapes. Consider the context. I'm not going to go back through what I just said, but the American people are looking at all of this, and they just want an answer. I agree with you. We don't need a conspiracy. Let's end the conspiracy. But for the life of me, I can't understand why our Attorney General and our FBI Director can't come in front of the Judiciary Committee, in front of God and country, and answer Chuck and Lindsay's question. And if they say, we're investigating this, then we back off. If they say there was nothing to it, perhaps we should ask, okay, can you explain why? What's unreasonable about that, given our history over the past 5 years?
Kennedy argued that the FBI's lack of transparency only fuels public suspicion. He closed by saying that Attorney General Garland and FBI Director Wray should step up and explain to the American people what's going on, either confirm the investigation or tell us if there's nothing there. So that's a summary of Senator Kennedy's remarks in the Senate Judiciary Committee. He covered everything from the public's trust in government to transparency issues with the FBI. In his view, the DOJ and FBI need to either address these allegations openly or close the case. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay in the loop on government and justice system updates, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments what you think about Kennedy's points. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.